Welcome, friend. We're so excited to have a guest here. Jon Chan is here to speak with us. Hi, Jon. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Good. I'm going to tell them a little bit about you really quick, and then we're going to dive in. So, welcome to the Born to Be Brave podcast YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, we're so excited where we talk about being brave in our lives. And so, I'm going to read your bio really quick, and then we'll go from
Sure.
there. Okay. I said
Sounds
Jon
good.
Chan is a former accountant and embarked on a journey to achieve financial freedom, allowing him to spend more time with his family. Leveraging his financial expertise, he transitioned into real estate, where he has successfully accumulated buy and hold properties using the BRRRR method and creative financing. Jon, this is the best part. Jon also helped his mother become a private money lender, turning her nest egg into a source of lifetime cash flow. Now he's on a mission to help his friends and passively build wealth and achieve financial independence. Is that fun?
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. So welcome to the show. I'm so excited you're here for you to agree to be with us today. So tell us
Thank
a
you for
little
having me.
bit about your path. Like even growing up, like tell us a little bit about like when you were younger and then like you became an accountant and then how did you get to be a real estate investor and private money lender. And now you have your own YouTube channel, right? Which is
Yes.
called The Road to One, right? The first one,
Yep.
your first
Yes, the road to
deal.
one. Uh,
Because I think
yeah.
the
So
hardest
growing,
hurdle is
uh,
getting your first deal.
yeah, because there's so many unknowns. You're trying to navigate a brand new territory on top of plunking down a ton of money. So yeah, it is definitely the most difficult, the most challenging, the first one.
So
Uh,
tell
as
me about your childhood a little bit. And like, did you always want to be a real estate investor? I don't think so because you were an accountant, right? Did you go to school to be an accountant and everything?
So school was a funny thing. I didn't enjoy school. It kind of killed my love for learning, to be honest. But I grew up with immigrant parents. We lived in the Northern Virginia, DC metro area, um, pretty much almost my entire life. My parents got divorced when I was pretty young, so I was going back and forth. Pretty unstable childhood, but at the same time, they were both great parents. Even though I was going through that situation, had some great step parents too. But that kind of led me into wanting to really have a stable life and a stable family as I grew up. So that's really what I searched for. In school and high school and college, I had some troubles. Didn't do the best, didn't do the greatest. But luckily the school that I went to wasn't in the final four yet, so I was able to get in with an okay GPA. And accounting was actually my third or fourth major. I had done engineering only because my best friend was doing engineering. I had no idea what I was doing. And then I did biochemistry because I heard it was hard, but had no idea what I was doing there either. Did well in the organic chemistry classes, which I kind of enjoyed, but then everything after that was no fun. And then finally just went to accounting because I heard it was stable and you can get a good career. So that's what I did. From there, decided to get a CPA because I heard you make more money. Uh, so I did that for I think a year and a half, got my CPA, and then just kind of went through the corporate life of going from trying to get promotions and make more money. And then COVID hits. And we had already had our first child at that time, but my wife was pregnant with with our second child, and I was sitting across from our breakfast table with our makeshift desks because we had to pull our oldest one out of daycare. Uh, just thinking like, what if something happens? What if one of us doesn't make it through this? What do we do? So start digging into real estate.
Yeah, COVID was kind of a wake-up call, right? Like, oh wow.
Yeah, because I worked for a small company at that point. It was a consulting company. Uh, I wasn't sure if we would be able to get through it. What if I lost my job? What if she lost her job? What would we do? And so I had heard people get rich in real estate, but my dad had a couple rental properties. So when running the numbers on those, it didn't really seem to make sense. And so I just YouTube how to scale in real estate, and then that's when the floodgates opened.
Yeah. So you went to YouTube, which is the biggest search engine in the world, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
how to scale in real estate, right?
Yes, exactly. And from there, like 99% of us, we went to bigger pockets. I remember my youngest daughter was about 6 months old, maybe a little bit younger, but she was strapped to me. My wife and my oldest had gone out to go hang out with some friends. And I remember just watching the Burr, it was a 2 hour YouTube video on how to do the Burr method with David Green and bearded Brandon Turner. And that really opened my eyes to a new way. So without really thinking about it, and uh, I, again, from doing a bunch of research, had heard that the CARES Act would allow you to pull a bunch of money out of your retirement accounts to penalty free, just to have to pay the taxes. And so that's what I did. I pulled as much money out of my retirement account and my wife's retirement accounts as I could, and then just started buying house after house, doing everything as quickly and as sloppily as I guess I could.
You took a lot of imperfect action. Yeah, the Burr is. Let's explain Burr just in case people aren't familiar with it, because I know about Burr because I've been in real estate for 20 years. And Thatch Wynn, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but Thatch is really
Yes.
big on the Burr, and he's a friend of mine. And
Okay.
he was my
Yeah.
first podcast interview. My first YouTube interview 6 years ago was Thatch and Stephanie.
Oh
So
wow. That's so cool. I love his cars. He's got really nice cars.
yeah, he has really nice cars, right? Has a
Yeah.
really good heart. In fact, his son just started college. His first son just started college. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I like what he's doing with his kids too, teaching them how to make money and not just inheriting everything.
Really smart. Yeah,
But
he's not giving his money to his kids. So yeah.
yeah. But to
So
explain the Burr
what is
method,
Burr? Go ahead and explain Burr. You went all in. You were gutsy. I call this born to be brave. You were born to be brave. You like, okay, let's figure this out. So what is Burr? Tell people what you did. You liquidated the retirement accounts, and then what does this Burr stand for? Just really quick.
yeah, so it's buy, renovate, rent, repeat, refinance, repeat. I think is the correct acronym.
Refinance,
Yeah.
and then rehab, and then
Yes. And so
and then
basically, all we're doing is just buying a distressed home, and we are fixing it up. And hopefully, if we have run our numbers properly, when we do a cash out refi, we're paying ourselves back and taking all of our money back out to go and recycle that money into the next project. So basically, like a fix and flip, but without selling the property. You're holding on to it as a rental.
and
Yeah.
then
So
how many of those did you do in the beginning?
So we got 10 burrs in the first 2 years, and pretty cool experience. It was a lot of fun, a lot of stress too. I remember just it was a lot of angels, God, universe, help me get through this, right? But it worked out, and then took a break from acquiring that way. Picked up 6 more through creative finance, and then another 11 through a partner. So it's been a ride so far.
Okay, so you did. Did you say 12 with the beginning? 10?
10 in the first 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. And then you switched to creative finance. So tell people kind of, because that's how I met you, through the creative finance world, right?
Yeah.
Because the Burr takes money, right? Like if you don't have money,
Yeah.
you cannot do the Burr. You do have to have seed money to start the Burr, right?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I did it probably the most inefficient way, where I just was using my own money. And then after I kind of ran out of that, then I started using hard money, which are just institutional lenders who specialize in working with individuals like us. And then it's paired that with a HELOC on my house, and Fund and Grow too. I use credit cards to put a down payment on a house, which I thought was so much fun.
You put a credit card, you put a down payment on a house with a credit card,
Yeah.
and you thought it was fun?
Yeah, because I just, it's a credit card, and I feel like at the time, I felt like I was gaming the system by taking a credit card, putting it through this one vendor, which would treat it like a bank account, so you could send a wire from your credit card. So I was very excited to do that.
Oh my gosh, you have been very creative on your journey, right?
Yeah, it was always run out of money, then find someone else who would give you money, and hopefully you pay him back. That's how it started.
That's how you started, right? And then you
Mhm.
found, did you find Pace? Is that what you did? You found Pace Morby, who's the creative finance guy and
Actually, I
friend?
had ended up joining another creative finance because there was this app called Clubhouse, which I think was brand new. And I don't know if people know what Clubhouse is, but you're basically going into it's like live podcasting, but without the video. And there are stages where you can go in and talk. And so my wife kind of challenged me because I was deathly afraid of any type of public speaking with or without cameras. And so she kind of challenged me, got a little upset, but went and I did it. And so happy that I did it because from there I found another mentorship which taught creative finance. Unfortunately, it didn't work out the way that I had hoped. So at that point, I was done with mentorships and coaching and all that. And then I remember driving up to Baltimore to go pick up a house, another burr that I was going to do, and listening to Pace's Sunday service at the time, and that's how I really. I mean, I'd heard him on bigger podcasts, I think episode 300 or something like that, and then I started listening to Sunday Service podcast.
Yeah, interesting. And then, so you've if you could go back and tell yourself, like you come a long way, right? I feel like it's easier to buy houses creatively once you get the skill set of how to do it, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I don't know.
Going back,
Would you agree with
I,
that or disagree with that?
it depends, right? So my personality is I, mean, I like talking to people, but to have to try to convince a seller how to sell me their house in specific ways, it was not my strength at all. Um, I did okay with it, but um, I mean, if you have the right team, then yeah, I would say yes, because then you don't need as much cash up front. If you can come up with really good terms and have the seller carry a lot of the money and essentially pay them more, then yeah, you don't have to bring in 150,000 dollars to go do a burr. You can just use $10,000, or maybe even bring in a private money lender or a partner to come and fund it. And it is easier if as long as you put in the work and are willing to put in the time.
Yeah, I guess it's a different kind of easy, right? Less money.
Yeah, less money. Everything takes work and has some type of challenge. So it's which one suits your situation the best, I think.
Yeah. And then you're awesome to share with us, John. I really appreciate you. Your mom,
Thank
let's
you.
talk about your mom. Yeah, I'm really proud of you because it takes courage to do all of these things, right? There's risk involved with all of this, right? Like, so how do
Yeah,
you,
there's
let's
risk.
talk about your mom. Yeah, let's talk
Sure.
about risk first, and then let's talk about your mom. Because one of the questions I
Okay.
wanted to ask, someone messaged me and said, how do you minimize your risk when you're doing all these projects?
Well, the biggest thing is making sure that whatever unknowns you have going into it, if I mean, I'm not saying like do study everything because you're not going to be able to prepare for everything, but if you can partner with somebody who's doing exactly what you want to do, like if you want to do fix and flips in an historic district in Ohio, right? Then go find someone who's doing that and provide them value, give them value in one way or another to learn how they do things, learn all the nuances. And then once you feel comfortable, you go out and you do it on your own. Um, that is the biggest thing that I think people don't do enough of is leveraging other people's experience and skills.
Yes, I think that networking and learning about what other people do and partnering up with people, because I think when we're in school, people teach us, cheating's bad, like don't collaborate, don't,
Yeah,
don't work together in groups. You got to memorize this, do this on your own, right?
yeah,
And that's terrible advice for life, right?
yeah, absolutely. So I mean, in 2 years, I was only able to get 10 houses, but then after that, the next 2 years, I was able to do 7 land flips, get 16 more or 17 more doors, however many doors. But it's because you're leveraging other people and you're partnering with them and collaborating. You're just able to accomplish so much more.
Yeah, I always say together we can go much further. And if you can find someone that's either 3 to 5, even 10 steps ahead, somewhere in that path ahead of you, and you bring value, I think bringing value is the key, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me about your mom. What's going on with your mom?
Yeah, so about a year and a half ago, I had told my mom that I was leaving the area. We all lived in the Northern Virginia area, and I was moving down south just because my daughter, she has eczema, and every time we left Nova, it got better. So at that point, she said, "Well, now that you're leaving, I don't really have a need to stay here, so I want to retire, and I want to be able to go wherever, whenever." So I said, "No problem." I did an audit of her financials or financial situation and just asked her, okay, well, how much money do you want to be able to spend on a monthly basis in order to feel comfortable and not have to worry about anything? She gave me the number. So then I went and I said, okay, well, you can live this many years before you're going to run out of money. So what can we do? So I moved a bunch of all of her money into self-directed retirement accounts, and then put it into lending opportunities within real estate.
Oh, wow. And then do you
Yeah.
manage that for her? Like, how long has she been doing that?
Yeah, so I think I helped her fund her first deal 10 months ago, maybe 11 months ago. And yeah, I manage everything for her. She doesn't really do a ton other than when a deal comes through, I just make sure she signs the paperwork. I make sure she understands how much she's supposed to get, when she's supposed to get it, and then she just signs the paperwork. And when the custodian or the vendor reaches out to her, she just approves the deal.
Is she a private money lender or a private money partner? Can you explain the difference between those two and which one is she?
Sure. So I went the lending route because she has the retirement account to protect her from having to pay taxes. And so the lending piece is, in my opinion, if you're doing it properly, less less risky because and you get consistent cash flow. And this is one of the things that I wish I had learned or understood when I first got started because um, my thought was if I just can accumulate as many doors as possible, then I can retire being a landlord. But that's not always the case because that's why deferred maintenance happens if you're relying on that cash flow. So with the lender, there's less risk because you're getting consistent cash flow. You know what you're getting, how much you're getting, and when you're supposed to get it, regardless of whether there's a new roof needed or toilet breaks, right? And so with that, it's very easy to know what you're going to get and when you're going to get it. As a partner, you're taking on you have higher upside because you have equity in an appreciating asset. You get the tax benefits of ownership, but you are also taking on the risk, right? So I have a rental that's being turned over. It's costing me $12,000 to replace all the floors. And so as a partner, you're gonna have to help. You're not going to get cash flow for a while because you own that property now. You own the asset. But as a lender, you don't have to worry about that. So, being a partner, you actually have ownership, good and bad on both sides.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing the difference between those two. And then for with your mom, what was I going to ask you? The She's the lender, right? She's a private money lender. Does she lend to the same people over and over? Or do you help her find new people? Or how does that work? Or do you just stick with the people that are tried and true? Or do you have a criteria of like what you like and like how do people, if people want to send you deals to see if that would work for you, do you take on new private money borrowers? Like how does that work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So when I first got started with the lending side, I was really using leveraging connectors, and honestly, I didn't know who was good, who was bad. The only thing that I really looked for in the opportunity was, is there enough equity to make sure that if I have to go through foreclosure, this first position have enough room, and then I know I'm going to be pretty inefficient and not cost effective to go through the foreclosure process. So, how much room do I have to make a mistake but still get all of her money plus return back? And so that's really the main thing that I look for. But now that I'm doing this at a larger scale with friends and family and trying to help and helping them build their wealth, it has been a lot of vetting with the borrower, make sure that they are doing volume, at least 2 deals, at least acquiring 2 deals a month, as well as their track record, and uh, are they making money on these deals, right? And then how much money they're making. So then it becomes very easy for me to just say, well, this deal is very easy to just look at the numbers versus having to go through the vetting process each time. So right now, I do a lot of borrower vetting. So at the moment, I have 2 consistent borrowers that I'm working with.
Okay. That's great. Thanks for explaining that, right?
Sure.
It does change over time, right? Your business.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I never thought so. When I first got started, I never thought that I would buy from a wholesaler. I never thought I would use a hard money lender. I never thought I would do lending. I would never thought that I would do anything other than just buying single family homes. And a lot of that has changed.
What shifted? Why did that shift for you?
Different stages in your business, right? So, um, buying a house in cash using 100% of your own money is great. It's less stressful, but there's only so much that you can do. So that I didn't want to do just one at a time. I wanted to do many. So then, in order for my dollar to go further, I'd bring in hard money, and then on market wasn't working anymore. So then I had to go find a wholesaler to work with, and being a landlord to live off of wasn't working anymore. So now I need to go find active income. So that's why I'm doing lending.
Yeah, I like that. And then Ralph asked the question, which I know a lot of people would want to know the answer to, too. Let me read this one. Hold on.
Sure.
It says, as a private money lender, what are you also doing to develop long-term passive income? So our friend Ralph asked that question. I love that people can ask these questions. In fact, if anyone's watching live, I don't know if anyone's watching live because we're new at this live stream. If you have a question for Jon or for myself, but mostly Jon's the expert here, let us know in the chat, and we'd love to answer that question for you because while we have Jon here, he's awesome. Okay, so that's Ralph's question.
Yeah, that is a good question because now that I'm helping friends and family get into real estate, but hopefully not making them do anything other than what they're already doing, I've explained this to my nephews who I'm hanging out with here. I'm going to build them active income through lending. So I have the borrowers already vetted. I bring them the deals. They put their money in and they collect the return. And then I am evaluating different tax strategists and different tax planners. And the goal would be to, at the end of the year, they say, the tax strategist says, okay, you've made this much money, you're going to pay this much in taxes, go do something about it. So then I come and I take their money and I put it into a stable asset like an RV park or a long-term rental, something where they can offset as much of their taxes as possible. And so it's a mixture. You bring in the active income, and then you go out and you buy the long-term buy and holds. So that's how I'm building the passive income.
Yeah, so it's a two-prong approach, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then that way, in 10 years, when my nephews and my nieces and cousins all hit my age when I got started, they're already way ahead of the game. They're already multimillionaires. They have a ton of assets, and their families are taken care of. And that's really the goal for me.
That's a beautiful goal, right?
Yeah, it's a nice thing.
So you are buying RV parks and branching out into other things now?
Yeah, so one of the things I never thought I would do is sell single family homes, but I am planning on unloading at least half of my single family homes, and we'll be putting them into a larger asset like RV parks are what I'm evaluating right now. Just because if I find a good operator, the cash and cash return is pretty good, and it's very easy to add value to the thing. So, and plus, I don't have to have houses in different states and have to worry about the filing requirements and the different taxes and all that because I'm not keeping up very well with that. So, trying to consolidate and really make everything more efficient.
Where are you looking at buying?
Right now, I'm just evaluating RV park operators because it's one of those things where I don't know much about RV parks other than you go and you rent them out. They're like mixture of short-term rentals with mobile home parks, and so taking the advice that I've heard other people at Pace always says, right? If you want to go do something, find someone who's doing what you're doing or what you want to do and just learn from them. Bring them value. In my case, it would be bring them money so that I can have an excuse to ask them questions and learn from what they do and everything.
Yeah, I love that. So those are what are these like the projects you have on the horizon? Is that kind of the direction you're going then?
Yeah, so 2025 is when I plan to start selling them off piece by piece, and then hopefully get into an RV park sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you're including your family, right? And so you're lifting up
Yeah.
everyone together so everyone will have financial freedom and time freedom, right?
Yeah, because the cool thing about it be if no one has a W-2, we're all just kind of hanging out, and then we decide, oh, let's go to Punta Cana for like a week and just hang out at an all-inclusive resort, and that would be a ton of fun.
I think that's a great goal. I think I'm going to make that my goal for my family.
Yeah,
I
you
like
should.
that.
It's great. Yeah.
Right? Isn't that goal? I think
Mm.
anyone listening, that's a great goal, right? Get
Yeah.
freedom for your whole family. I have a question for you, right? What do you wish you knew at the beginning when you started this whole journey? What do you wish you would have known back in the day?
There are two things. One, mindset. Work on yourself because you're not ready for any type of success with who you are at the moment. Because like, there's so many things that you have to get past, like collaborating, working with other people. There's a reason why I did everything on my own in the beginning is because I didn't have that. I was so focused on what I didn't want to give away versus what we could accomplish together. So mindset and collaborating is one thing, and the other is don't go do a bunch of buy and holds in the beginning. If your goal is to get out of your job sooner rather than later, then go out and do active income, whether that's wholesaling, lending, or fix and flip. Something where you're able to replace your income sooner quickly versus doing long-term rentals.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
Yeah, because just buying and holding is going to take a while for those to pan out.
Yeah, I mean it's worked out because I've owned them for a while, and I just got really lucky with the way that the market went during COVID. But focus on the active income first before you go out and start buying buying for passive income.
Yeah, and I don't think people should just quit their jobs and
Yeah.
try and go all in on it because there's a
No.
huge learning curve to being a real estate investor, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. It's not just strategy, it's also technicals and a huge part of it mindset.
I think mindset, people really underestimate mindset. And I'm a big believer that you can never outperform your self-identity.
Mhm.
And so if you don't take time to release the things that no longer serve you well and the habits and the thoughts and the patterns that maybe have been passed down generationally and from your environment, that you can never outperform how you see yourself, right?
Yeah, like 100%.
How did you work on your mindset? Did you have like a seminar you went to or books you've read that have impacted you? What would you recommend this if someone's watching this and says, how can I improve my mindset? How do they do that? How do they become more growth oriented?
So I did a mixture of many things. Some of it was my choice, some of it wasn't, but it all has helped. So books, Tony Robbins, Ed Milet, Mel Robbins, a lot of those books were really helpful in getting to that first step. Then there's a substitute student. Her name is Elena Tang. She used to run the mindset Zooms in the community. I had a session with her, and then that broke through the next step. And then about a year ago, I went to the Subtune Mastermind, and we did this thing called somatic breath work. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it was like 150 people all laying down in this huge conference room, and you had this music blasting, and then someone telling you to breathe a certain way, where it's like very intense, and then you have all your extremities are tingling, and you get this like, weird feeling. And the biggest three things were, uh, I am I deserving of any type of success? And that was the first one, was yes, yes, I am. And then the second was feeling grateful for my wife and kids, and just having this attitude, paces it, this attitude of gratitude, whether good things happen, bad things happen. At the time, it may seem good or bad, but 5 months from now, 2 months from now, a week from now, it could be the best thing that's ever happened to you. You just don't know. So being grateful for everything that you're going through and the journey, um, is was a big thing. And then the third one was understanding that my lot in life was to help other people, not really knowing how to help people at that point, but at least knowing that my goal in life is to help other people. Uh, those were the big things that helped with mindset.
I love, you probably did Wim Hof breathing, and probably, I would say,
Oh,
I
yeah, we do
think,
Wim Hof breathing sometimes. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and different things. There's box breathing, and there's all kinds of. Can you find me the Chinese proverb? I asked my husband to find something for me because
sure.
something just triggered. I want to read it to people. I love that
Mhm.
you just shared that. So, reading books, podcasts, things that people that are mindset growth oriented, that's their business, right? And
Mhm.
then going to events. I think that I
Yeah,
love sound baths and things like that. I've been on retreats where we release and different things. And I love that also. For me, gratitude's the most important thing,
yeah,
because if you don't appreciate what you already have, how can God bless you with more, right?
yeah.
And
Mhm.
all joy comes from focusing on appreciation and appreciating what we have, and what we focus on expands. So when we're focusing on those good things, more good things will come into our lives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely being appreciative of the things that may seem challenging and difficult too, because there's always a lesson behind it. There's always something behind it.
Always.
Yeah,
And that's when we grow. Pain is a very powerful teacher, right? And the
absolutely.
when we solve higher level problems, right, then we
Mhm.
get paid more, right? And then when our I want to read this. This is, you just reminded me. It's a Chinese story about a man's son finds a beautiful horse, and the neighbor says, "How fortunate!" And the man
Mhm.
says, "We'll see." Then the son falls off the horse and is permanently injured. How unfortunate!" The neighbor says. "We'll see," says the man. "A conscripting army comes but doesn't take the injured son." "How fortunate," the neighbors say. "We'll see," says the man. Right? And so,
Mhm.
no, everything, right? That guy's son didn't have to go to the army, right, to fight
Okay.
because of the horse and the accident on it, right? But they said it was unfortunate. And so it's really all a story we tell ourselves, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I love that proverb. It is really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What else should we ask you that we haven't asked you? What else do you think we should share with people?
Uh, I think the biggest thing is, if you're gonna go into lending, because there's a I funded a bunch of deals for my mom, and luckily everything has gone well. Like, I do have one borrower default, but there's more than enough equity in the collateral to cover her. But uh, I I shied away from lending for a while because it was I was hearing a lot of stories about people losing money, and it's okay to take imperfect action, but you gotta make sure that you're also protected too. So if you're gonna go into lending, reach out to someone who's already doing it, partner with them, take a lesser return. You're still gonna earn money, but then you're gonna learn the lessons and learn how to do things properly, so that when you go out and you do it on your own, and you go out and you bring your network into this, you're protecting them, you're doing it the right way, so that you're minimizing the risk as much as you possibly can. You'd much rather go and get a 10% flat return on your money, or 7% flat return on your money, versus losing $50,000. Um, and then also, if you're a borrower seeking a lender, get to know your lender first. Don't just shoot them a deal and say, "This is what I got. You interested?" Uh, really build that relationship ahead of time, so that when the money does come, or when the money is needed, they already know who you are. And also, go to Mel Palmer. reach out to her, do the investor passport. That really helps too.
Yeah, I really I did the safety course with Mel, and she's amazing resource. I'm going to interview her. That's my goal, to interview her. And
Yeah,
you can get certified. You can go and pay to have her explain what the safety passport is, so people know. I'll let you explain it.
sure. The investor passport basically just allows other people to see that a third person has come and verified that you are doing what you said you're doing, and you're not just full of it. So I had done mine about a year ago. I still need to get it updated, but yeah, it's a way to just show that the words that are coming your mouth are true, and that's helpful because I mean there's a lot of things going on in the world, right? You don't know who you can trust. It's a challenging thing. And two, if you're willing to go through that process, it just says a lot about who you are. And just, in my opinion, just shows that you're trying to do things the right way. Um, and really, it makes life a lot easier for you if you are a borrower with her investor passport. Third party verification, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that because I'm a big I've been in real estate as an agent for 20 years, and I know about HUDs. Like, HUDs are real. Like,
Yeah.
you can tell me you own something, but let me see your HUDs, right?
Yeah.
Like people, you can look really good on social media, right? And
Yeah.
people, I'm the opposite. It's hard for me to puff myself up, which it's hard for me. That's not my nature. But I think there's a lot of people that over exaggerate themselves on social media, and
Yeah.
they haven't done as much as they say they have. And that can be problematic, especially if a deal isn't as secure, like they don't have enough cushion in the deal, right?
Yeah.
And it's not
Yeah.
their money.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Which is really unfortunate because that's their savings, right? They worked hard for that money. You have to do everything in your power to protect your lender, right? Because they didn't ask. You're there. You're like a steward for their money. You're there to help them grow their money, not just willy nilly throw it away.
Yeah, a good steward of other people's money. That is so
Yeah,
important, right?
yeah,
And your
absolutely.
reputation, you can't, it's very hard to rebuild your reputation once you have tarnished it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
Hmm. Then I have a question for you. As
Yeah.
when's the time that you felt like you were really brave? Because the name of my show is called Born to Be Brave. Is there a time during this time that you feel like you've been really brave and you had to break, like you felt like you couldn't go on, or you were hanging on a rope and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in over my head, or you had to take brave and perfect action?
Yeah. There were a lot of times when I felt like I had to be brave. I guess I never really thought about. I never felt brave. But I mean, there have been a ton of times when I mean, even now, right? When I've signed papers to do a transaction or to do a deal where I'm uh, deploying someone else's money into something, I'm at the signing table, and it's a scary feeling because what if it doesn't go the way that it's supposed to? What if this happens? What if that happens? Right? And
Mhm.
so you just have to do it and just keep telling yourself you'll figure it out. You'll make it right no matter what happens. You'll make it right. And I mean, honestly, it really helps to have a supportive spouse too. Because when I told my wife about real estate in the beginning, she encouraged me. She pushed me forward, and I said, "This is what I want to do with our retirement accounts. What do you think?" She said, "Just go do it. We'll figure it out if it doesn't work out, but just go and do it." So um, having a supportive spouse really helps, and then making sure you take calculated risks to so even if it's scary, it, I guess you just do it anyways. Is that the definition of being brave? I don't know.
Yeah, that is, because I think the person you marry impacts every aspect of your life. And
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
that's really important. It's really nice to have a supportive partner, right? I tell my kids dating is an interview process, and you should be making
Yeah,
sure, like, what is the characteristics of this person, right? And do you
right.
have the kind of character that you want in a partner too? Like, work on yourself, and make sure you're like, it's better to be alone than to be with a person that is going to create extra stress in your life, for
Yeah,
me.
absolutely. Yeah, agreed. 100%.
Mhm. Yeah. And then what was I going to say? Someone else asked, messaged, what are your greatest strengths and what are your greatest weaknesses? They said.
Okay, so my greatest strength is problem solving. When I was younger, my dad used to play chess with me. Um, he used to just destroy me, but he would tell me the different places where I went wrong, and so it really taught me to think strategically. And so, strategic thinking, in my opinion, is my strength. Also, I think I make good decisions, and I think talking to people. I think I didn't think that that was one of my strengths, but talking to people is definitely something that I didn't know I would enjoy. Again, my wife said you probably do, and she was right. I do. So yeah, talking to people and strategic strategy are my strengths. My weaknesses are probably creating some type of emotional connection. If you look at my clips and strengths, all my blues are at the bottom. So that's kind of tough. But also being detailed. Um, I used to I tell people this all the time. When I used to go into job interviews, and I had always heard you have to tell people you're detail oriented. It was the biggest lie for me. I'm not detail oriented. I'm strategy. I like to move in a specific direction. Um, but understanding that, being self-aware, because I understand that I'm not detailed. So then you bring in people to help you fill in those weaknesses that would do paperwork and underwrite so much better than what I could. So um, I guess the long answer to detail, I'm not detail oriented is my weakness.
Yeah, that's great. But then you can partner up with people who are, right?
Yeah, and then you can accomplish more. So it comes back to working with other people.
Yeah. Did you have your Clifton Strengths test done? It sounded like.
I did. Again, this is something that I had done years ago because my wife bought it for me for my birthday, which I actually really like. Other than instead of buying like toys or gifts or whatever, she made me take that for my birthday, and I took it. I was like, cool, whatever. And then I met Rosie Noel and did a session with her, and that I mean, I didn't mention her, but that was a whole nother level of understanding of being able to understand what it is that I was good at. So um, Clifton Strengths test is really good, but then having an expert come in and help you interpret it is next level for sure.
Yeah, it helps a lot, right? I know
Yeah.
my friend, my accountability partner, Bridget Ruiz, she also does the Clifton Strengths and
Okay.
analyzes you. And
Okay.
I was going to, after I saw Rosie and Melissa talking about it and Vina, I was going to, sign up for it. But then I realized I went to go log in to
Hmm.
the login that Bridget had given me. And I'd already taken it. I paid to go to this really expensive mastermind for 3 days, and I didn't know we had taken it because she never talked about it. And so I didn't know it was in my email. So I had to pull it up and go over it. And I was like, oh my gosh, isn't that funny?
Yeah. It's like finding gold.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, this totally describes me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think being self-aware, what you said there, is so important because if you're not honest with yourself, then you can't make the changes that you need to make to become the person you want to become, in my opinion.
Yeah. For sure. And I mean, you can't do everything by yourself, but why would you want to?
Yeah, Pace always says you can't buy a house. No transactions ever happen by yourself. There's always other people involved,
Yeah.
right? Your
Absolutely.
wife
Mhm.
sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I put her through a lot. She's now homeschooling our kids, and uh, it's a lot of work. But yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, she put up with all of it, right? And
Yeah.
survived it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been quite a journey you've been on. Well, where can
Yeah.
people find you? You have your Instagram and you have your YouTube channel. Tell me about your YouTube channel and why people should like and subscribe to your show.
Sure. So um, I have this problem with wanting to help as many people as I can, and at first it was my friends who had expressed that they had interest in real estate, so I would just kind of give them paths and just give them action plan, but it didn't always work out. So I thought that maybe if I created a YouTube channel or a podcast where people would talk specifically about what it took to get from 0 to 1, that would be helpful to at least one person. So it really is just stories about the what it took to get that first deal.
What have you learned the most from interviewing people that got about getting their first deal? What if someone hasn't gotten their first deal yet? What would you tell them to do?
Find someone who's doing whatever it is that you want to do and give them value in one way or another. That is your fastest way to get to your first deal.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah. So what's the name of your YouTube channel?
It's just Jon Chan REI. So I think it's the same. Luckily, I got my Facebook, my Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn to have all the same uh, parts of the URL. So it's on the screen. Jon Chan REI.
Yeah, so if you guys want to reach out to him, he's awesome. He's a wealth of knowledge, right? I'm so
Thank
grateful
you.
that you took the time to share with us. I was thinking, if there is there anything else that we should have asked you or that you think was important for our listeners and our viewers to know from you today? I feel like there's something else you should share with us.
Mm. If you have money in old retirement accounts, I can help you move them into self-directed, and that's a great way to leverage money that you don't really have access to right now. Because I mean, honestly, 67 isn't guaranteed, so you might as well leverage that into learning how to do whatever you want to do. Like if you want to learn how to do an RV park, then you can leverage that money and put it with an operator who's going to help you learn, right? Or you can help use it for lending. uh, Taking a look at your own resources, your own experience in everything you have around you, and not discounting it because that's what we all do. Right? I've done it. I still do sometimes. So taking an audit of the value that you can provide other people, whether that's money, time, experience, and just being being open to sharing it with other people.
Yeah, I think sharing your journey really helps other people, right?
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many people that I've met who are brand new to real estate, and they are out there doing like door knocking or uh, you know something that's not related to sales, but they make like six figures and have with a sales job. Leverage that, right? You can leverage that in so many different ways. So take your experience and figure out a way to use it in whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah, and we all do have some skills, right? And then use those skills to transition into real estate and then start developing new skills, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. You're awesome. You are
Thank you.
awesome. You have kids?
I do. So I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, both daughters.
Oh, that's awesome. We have a 5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, almost 3-year-old grandkids. They're both girls.
Oh
They're
yeah, yeah.
so
The girls are a
fun.
lot of
They're in the
fun.
fun age.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Challenging, but also they do a lot of. I like having kids.
What legacy do you want to leave your daughters? What do you want them to know?
That everything that we have done, we are not perfect, but we try to do everything the right way.
I like that. I like that. And for me, love is spelled time, Time for love.
Mhm.
And when you have financial freedom, you can spend time with the people you love, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, and I like that you said when you're 67, not everyone's guaranteed to make it to 67. We don't know. This is my saying. This isn't your practice life. You should do
Yeah.
what you love now, because we don't know if we're going to have tomorrow, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
start betting on yourself and taking some risks and partnering up with people and take some action and get educated. And yeah, I appreciate you coming on here, my sweet friend. Thank you so much. I can't wait to meet you in person. And
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
wonderful. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me and letting me share my story with your audience. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this was great. I learned a lot. I really appreciate you. And Barb was right. Barb said you're awesome. And God told me to interview you. And just, I reached out. I'm like, instantly, I saw your post and I'm like, oh, I know I want to
Yeah.
interview him. So
Yeah.
thank you for being willing and having a good heart. And I look forward to seeing all the goodness that's unfolding in your business and your lives and to watch your kids grow up. And pretty exciting. And keep dating your wife, because the best gift you can give your kids is your good marriage, right? It's good.
Yep. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for joining. And everyone in our studio audience, you know how to get a hold of Jon now, and you can like and subscribe to help support him. You can like and subscribe to the Born to Be Brave YouTube channel. And if you have questions, give a shout out, DM him, DM me, and let us know how we can assist you. And we love you and we're cheering you on. And I do really believe it's not your practice life. You should do what you love. And I ask myself that all the time, what would I love? And that's why I started this show, because I want to create a clone so my family and friends can know that if their grandma could do it, anybody can do it. That's my thing. I want my grandkids to know anything's possible, right?
Yeah.
Because grandma
Yeah,
did
for
it, right?
sure.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
never too old to start, right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, friend. I'm going to let you get back to your family, and Jon's going to end it, right? My sweetheart's in here, and I'm going to go pick up Kevin Cho at the airport.
All right. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thanks.